Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum everyone. My name is Mathiullah Shah and this is the lab part of Plane Reinforced 2 for batch 2017. In today's lab video, I will tell you how to find the flexure strength of different concrete beam. So this is the sequence of my today presentation. First of all, we will discuss the introduction of today's experiment followed by the procedure. Then I will tell you how to calculate the flexure strength of different beam, and at the end I will tell you what you guys have to do after watching this video. So coming toward the introduction part. So first of all, the objective of our today experiment. We have compare and find the flexure strength of in concrete beam, singly reinforced beam, and doubly reinforced beam. So there are two methods to find the flexure strength of beams. First one is the third point loading, which is covered in ASTM C78. So in third point loading method, we apply a load at a distance at 1/3 from both support. Here you can see that the total span length of this beam is L, and we are applying the load at L/3 from each support. So this is the third point loading method. And the second is the center point loading method, which is covered in ASTM C293, in which we apply the load at the center of the beam. Here we can see that the total span length of this beam is L, and the load is applied at a distance L/2 from each support. So this is the center point loading method, and we will follow this procedure to find the flexure strength of different beam in today's experiment. So coming toward the apparatus, so we will use the flexure testing machine. Here we can see that this is a flexure testing machine. These are the two support. We can translate that in this direction to set the span of beam, and the load is applied with the help of this at the center point. And we also need deflection gauges, which we will set at the center of the beam to find the deflection of the beam at the center point, and measuring tape for measuring the dimension of beam. So the procedure is very simple. First you have to cast concrete beam and then cure them. After 28-day curing, you have to test them in air dry condition. Before testing, what you have to do, you have to measure the dimension of beam, and then you have to place in a flexure testing machine. Then you have to set this deflection gauge at the center of the beam to measure the deflection of the beam at the center. And after that, you have to set the loading rate of flexure testing machine 0.025 megapascal per second, and then you have to start the test. So during test, you have to note the load and deflection gauge reading at fixed interval of the load. And at the end, you have to note the flexure load, and then you have to compute the flexure strength using center point loading formula, which I will tell you in calculation part. At the end, you have to draw load versus deflection of a curve for all three beams and observe the difference between them, and then you have to compare the result and conclude them. So coming toward the calculation part, so you have to tabulate the data in this form: plain concrete beam, singly reinforced concrete beam, and doubly reinforced concrete beam. Here you have to write the failure load, and then you have to compute the flexure strength using this formula: 3PL divided by 2BD square. Here P is the failure load, L is the span length of the beam, B is the width of the beam, and D is the depth of the beam. And for load versus deflection curve, you have to tabulate the data in this form. So next, what you guys have to do next, you have to watch the second part of this video, which is the lab demonstration. Then you have to carry out the necessary calculation, provided you the data in Excel sheet. That's all from my side. Thank you so much. Allah Hafiz. Stay safe.